What's up, humans? My name is David and I help people develop self-awareness, and today is the second of 5 videos basically explaining the who, what, where, when, and why of meditation. Today is the what, or the how. It's the how of meditation. Meditation is one of the most powerful tools for developing self-awareness and self-compassion, and I think everyone should learn how. Or what, or how. So, how do you meditate? I will literally show you right now. Right now. I will give you some directions and then we'll do a 1-minute meditation together. It's going to be so boring, but you will probably learn something. Here we go. Directions. 1. Try to point all of your attention toward the physical sensations of breathing. 2. Get distracted, but don't realize it yet. 3. Realize it. 4. Return your attention to the physical sensations of breathing and begin again. So, here we go. Let's give this a try. Wherever you are is fine. Close your eyes if you would like to. Do whatever you can to fully invest your attention in the physical sensations of breathing, and then when you get distracted, just come back. 3, 2, 1, go! Alrighty, that was it. That was meditation. Not even kidding. Now, maybe you're thinking, like,
bro, no way. No way. That is not meditation. Meditation's weird. You definitely need a gong, and people are chanting, and there's definitely robes. There's always robes. That's not meditation.
I have a robe. By the way, when I was first given these instructions, I thought this must be like the training wheel version, like the how to learn to meditate for noobs, part 1 of 100, focus on your breath. But no, this is like pretty much the entire practice. Meditation is very counterintuitive. It's not necessarily complicated, but it's extremely common for people to feel like I'm not doing this right, or like this isn't working for me. And by and large, that's because we continue to expect meditation to feel like something, or to have visions or extremely positive feelings. But especially in the beginning, meditation is not always like that. In today's video, I'm hoping to clear up what is usually the initial confusion that people have when they try to start to learn meditating. If we have chosen to focus on the physical sensations of the breath, and then when we get distracted, we're supposed to come back to the breath, what precisely constitutes a distraction? In a word, imagination. And also thoughts. But I'll explain. Let's start with this word imaginary, because we're going to use a counterintuitive but very precise definition. For the purposes of meditation, let us define imaginary as the presence in our mind of anything which is not immediately available to us through our senses. So, obviously, all of the usual stuff like unicorns and Middle-earth and Hogwarts, those are all imaginary. And then the future as well. We all agree, if we're thinking about the future, we're using our imagination, right? But counterintuitively, by this definition, the past is also imaginary, right? Remember, the presence in our mind of anything which is not immediately available to us through our senses. In fact, any story or narrative at all in our minds is imaginary. And I don't know if you know this, but we imagine stories a lot. Our thoughts are mostly stories. Actually, it can be helpful to think of your thoughts and your imagination almost like an additional sense or one of our senses. So in the same way that you can sort of really pay attention to your visual field, but then you can shift and bring your focus in, like tune in to what you're hearing. And then you can focus on what you're smelling and really kind of point your attention there. In a similar way, you can actually learn to point your attention towards your thoughts and your imagination, what is going on in your mind, and sort of take stock of it. To be clear, thinking is not bad. In fact, it's quite important that we learn to think very well. But autopilot imagination and thoughts is sort of like sleepwalking. The stories and feelings are going to keep coming and going in our minds. This is entirely normal, but we have an impressive ability to confuse our thoughts about life for life itself. It's very difficult not to. In fact, before you learn to meditate, it's even very difficult to realize that you are doing that at all. For example, feelings don't initially feel like feelings. In fact, largely their purpose is to make things feel true. Let me make an analogy to seconds on a clock. Check this out. What is a second? A second is a measure of time, but it can be easy to imagine that those dashes that mark each second, that those are the seconds, or the sound of the tick of each second. We can start to think that that's the second, when in fact, the second is basically everything that happens in between the ticks. In a very similar way, real life, the here now, is really everything that's happening in between our thoughts. And similar to counting seconds, sometimes our thoughts are extremely powerful and important. Concepts and words and stories are extremely powerful, but they are not the things themselves. They are representations, and our thoughts about life can easily end up forming a mediating barrier between us and our lives. So, bringing it back to meditation, it's pretty obvious that if you are far off somewhere in your mind, captured and carried away into imagination, well, yeah, that's distraction. But, for example, it may be less obvious that you can be distracted by thoughts about your breathing instead of having your attention simply and fully invested in the experience of breathing. This can get pretty subtle, but in time, our practice can teach us to behold experiences on their own terms instead of impose our thoughts and preconceived notions about our experiences onto them. So, we've learned this new definition of imaginary, the presence in our mind of anything which is not immediately available to us through our senses. And by doing so, we have learned exactly what constitutes a distraction when it comes to meditation. Thoughts and imagination are what we let go of once we recognize them, so that we can then come back to the moment as it is. Put succinctly, the first two steps of meditation are learning to discern what is imaginary from what is real now, and second, learning to keep our attention on what is here now. So, naturally, the next video is all about attention. Alrighty, my friends, I hope that was helpful. Make sure to watch all 5 videos to get a solid basic understanding of the practice. Meditation can be confusing, so come back to these videos as a resource when you are unsure in your practice. And then, of course, any questions you have, please feel free to put them down in the comments below and I will get you answers. Or at least I'll try. If you did find this helpful or interesting, and if you think that this is important work, here is how you can help. First of all, like this video, subscribe to this channel, and also share this video with the people that you care about. And seriously, it really does help, and it's gonna take you less than a minute. Please go do those 3 things. And on top of that, if you really want to help out, I would encourage you to consider seriously supporting me on Patreon. My goal is to make this my full-time job so that I can help more people more better. And with that said, know your mind, love your life.